Next, I have Ann Vandersteel.
Madam Chair, my name is on the agenda and I'd like to defer my time to Ann.
I'd also like to give my time to Ann as well.
I would like to give my time to Ann.
I have to do the math here. 12 minutes.
Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Ann Vandersteel, and I'm actually a new media journalist, and I've been working very diligently to uncover what's going on across the border, which has direct impacts in all of our local communities. I happen to be here in Kane County on the invitation of a group up here that also values community public safety and the constitutional direction in which our country is being challenged right now. Operation Burning Edge took a hard look at the southern border in Texas and also down in Latin America, Central America, at the migration, the weaponized human migration that we are being challenged with currently. And a lot of these individuals that are coming across the border are being shuttled into communities just like Kane County all over the country with deleterious impacts to your community from a public safety perspective, from a public health perspective, and of course, in addressing Mr. Isaacson's comments with respect to drug use, et cetera. We all know that cartels have been for years shepherding drugs into the United States. The money that you all are spending on campaigns, while I think noble, can also be redirected to actually the border and preventing the drugs that are coming across. And perhaps that might be one place you want to consider looking into and collaborating with states along the border, because now every state is a border state with the impact that we see of the individuals coming across. My own eyes will tell you that the people coming across right now in the Darien Gap by the thousands every day are military-age men, and the very few women and children you see are the ones that are being trafficked. The military-age men come from Afghanistan, they come from China, they come from Pakistan and Iran. Hezbollah and Hamas are here, and they're in every community. We have terror cells in 50 states right now. I've witnessed with my own eyes the caliber of these men that are coming across. They have learned how to infiltrate, and with the Iranian ambassador from Venezuela issuing passports, Venezuelan passports to Hezbollah, to Iranians, they are speaking perfect Spanish. They look and walk and sound just like Venezuelans, but they're not. They intend harm and they intend to upset the communities. These individuals are getting $2,200 a month, and that's more than most people on Social Security right now. This is what's coming to America. I'd also want to address the contact tracing issue here. Bank of America, incidentally, on January 10th of this year, also had a patent issued for contact tracing to track and trace you, the individual, and your banking and tie it together, whether you're traveling in America or outside the country. This, in collaboration with contact tracing jobs that are on the budget here in Kane County, are very worrisome because, again, it is a violation of your constitutional freedoms. Incidentally, on January 10th of this year, when you talk about contact tracing, that is also the same day that Joe Biden, the president of Mexico, Obrador, as well as Justin Trudeau, the prime minister in Canada, also signed the Declaration of North America, essentially dissolving the borders of the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico into one region, defining one region, talking about human migration, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and of course, the importance of what they consider to be the indigenous species, which again, my own eyes witnessed in the Darien Gap, deep in the jungles, where I was down there for 2 weeks and will be returning next week, that the indigenous species are being trampled upon by, again, the policies that are coming from our federal government, which are pulling these people through human osmotic pressure, the push and pull of human migration. We are pulling people from all over the world that are being told they're coming here for a better life, or they have another agenda, Hamas, Hezbollah, and others, and they're trampling on the indigenous that are living in harmony with nature, as Klaus Schwab would have prescribed. They're bringing disease. They're destroying the endemic species that live down in the Darien Gap, and they're weaponizing, again, human migration. Everything that's in the Declaration of North America is all about destroying what has been created by God and what we value, culture. This is the sad tragedy of what's happening here in North America right now. And I would ask, as I did my own legislative district in Martin County, Florida, several weeks ago when I was sitting in front of a group just like this. And I asked my state representatives, why is Governor DeSantis busing these migrants into the country further? Why send them to Martha's Vineyard? Why not deport them? My own state representative told me he by law can't do it. And I said, have you read the Constitution, Toby? Because by law you can. And again, when it comes to redirecting money and protecting the safety, the public safety, the health safety of your community, I would ask you all to consider allocating money to deporting these individuals that have been bussed into your community, or worse than that, because of the Customs and Border Protection App 1, flown directly into your community, bypassing Customs and Border Protection checkpoints and deporting them back to the country from which they came. Because again, at $2,200 a month, while that might be 10 times the amount of money that these individuals are used to seeing on a monthly basis, it's going to be a shock to them when they go from 40 cents for a cup of coffee to $8. They're not going to be able to afford it. We're putting undue strain, undue stress. And again, our public safety is really is being called into question right now as we stuff people into cities. Look what's happening to New York City. Look what's happening in Philadelphia. I live in an affluent area in South Florida. We have people crashing on park benches in Jupiter, Florida. This is not stuff that we're used to seeing, and we have no place to put these people. But they're bringing with them multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is on the rise in this country. And sadly, a lot of the people that are coming here because they are potentially looking for a good way of life are agriculture or are trained in agriculture by, just how they've grown up.
Ms. Vandersteel,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to know that this is King County, and what the Public Health Committee has priorities over and where our jurisdictions lie has little to do with what you're talking to us about this morning.
So what you're saying is you're not concerned if people are bringing disease into your
Ma'am, I
county?
did not say that.
Okay, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
You're speaking to a group that we have no way to control what you're asking us to control.
Actually, you know what? I actually think you do. And it is through the local action. Local action here is so critical because our federal government is working against the people right now with these policies. And it is going to be the counties, all 3,141 of them, that stand up individually and collectively together to push back. In Florida, we've actually passed ordinances on the books that have actually the ability to say no to the WHO, no to the federal government for any undue and egregious and violations of our constitutional rights. We have collectively done that through the education of our county commissioners, just like the smart people sitting in this room, understanding what has been done to Americans without informed consent. Again, to your point, sir, talking about filing consent paperwork, the public was never informed about what was in these vaccines in air quotes. The prescribing information was intentionally left blank. So when you went and asked what's inside those jabs, you were not given information. That's not informed consent. To say people were signing consent forms is kind of a misnomer because they didn't even know what they were consenting to. And that again is a constitutional violation. So I am here standing before you asking you to consider your best interests and to work collectively together in your county to push back on the tyranny that's coming out of Washington, D.C. And I think that this county actually has a lot that they can do together. I look around at this beautiful community and I see hope in America. But what I see coming out of what I call the district of corruption is just that, corruption. They're not concerned about you. They're concerned about how they can
Ma'am, I would
leverage
say
you.
to you that you're talking to us about a jurisdiction we do not have here.
I do believe you do have a jurisdiction here. I believe you have a duty to your citizens in Kane County to push back against the overreach of the federal government. And by forcing migration into your community, they're putting people in here that you didn't ask for, and now they're asking you to deal with this. That's not, that is in your jurisdiction, frankly, and you can push back. And I think that you need to ask the citizens, there's an organization called Tactical Civics that actually teaches the citizens in their community how to organize citizen grand juries and stand up and push back to unlawful statutes and codes and really, frankly, forced vaccination and being threatened with mandates. That is, in fact, what needs to happen in this community. And I believe you all have the power amongst yourselves to do it and hear what I'm saying.
Madam Chair, point of order, the state's attorney would like to talk.
Yes. Pardon me one moment, Mr. Shepard.
Need to remind the board that under your rules, public comment is public comment and is not a debate. between audience members and members of the board.
Thank you. My apologies to you, Ms. Vandersteel.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. So again, to just give you all a summary, because I stand here as somebody that truly believes that America is meant to be free. I believe that we're meant to have our rights protected. And I think it's time that Americans understand what their fundamental rights are. And citizen grand juries have been around for a long time, and they're organizing. We have 1,000 counties across America that are organizing citizen grand juries right now and are going to start to hold members of the public that are supposed to be their servants accountable for decisions they've made. And while they may have thought they were making decisions in the best interest at the time, perhaps they were succumbing to the pressure coming out of Washington, D.C. And in every county, you work for the people. And again, our country was founded as a collective union of states. We were not meant to be a centralized nation. And I think the power right here in Kane County can serve the people in ways that you have yet to even explore. And I would encourage you all to consider the exploration of such powers that you have by listening to your constituents that are asking you to support them and not the people that the federal government are forcing upon you, not the laws or the mandates that they're forcing upon you, when in fact it is truly a violation of your civil rights as a free American. I would also tell you that in Michigan, as an example, the state of Michigan has actually held Gilead Pharmaceuticals up as someone who has committed crimes against the people that were forced to take remdesivir against their will as a treatment option. Remdesivir was administered in the hospitals during COVID, killing millions of people. And prior to that, the WHO had trialed remdesivir in 2018 and 19 to treat Ebola and learned that remdesivir was killing more than the Ebola. So they outlawed it and said, we'll never use this. Dr. Fauci, in all of his wisdom, decided that that was the drug to use for COVID and claimed it as a miracle drug. So this unfortunately was told to you. You didn't know this. How would you know? They were holding all this back. There's an agenda out here that's not supportive of the citizens of Kane County nor the citizens of, frankly, any county. So when you talk about opioid drug users and all this, we need to look at the borders. We need to look at the policies coming out of Washington, D.C. that are encouraging the trafficking of all these narcotics that are destroying our communities and distracting us from being free people, healthy people. I applaud your efforts to do what you can locally here, but let's also address the bigger problem, the bigger concern, because I know where your heart is. You're trying to save lives. And thank you for that. We should not be subject to policies like the Declaration of North America that's pulling these migrants into our communities and forcing them upon you to deal with. This is not what's supposed to happen in America. So you all are, again, I applaud you meeting like this. I applaud everybody here in the audience that shows up every single month for these meetings. This is how a functioning government works. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.